Hello, everyone. This is
Hello,
Carine from NCTL Group, and I'm with my sister.
Nika. Hi.
We are back for another chat with Momvestors.
Yes, it's another Tuesday night, late night chat with the Momvestors.
Absolutely. And tonight, we have decided that we should go back to basics. We recently had a conversation with close friends, and someone asked us, a very new person in Canada asked us, you know, I want to buy a home here. I'm a new immigrant. All I wish is to buy a home. Where do I start? And it opened a really big conversation. And we were like, oh, we actually need to start with the basics. When we get that questions, we always think as already investor like we are. Oh, hold on a second. So this is the mom and me. My baby just got into the room. Says, move forward.
How would you know we are moms if babies don't work in on a
Exactly.
chat with Momvestors? So going back to the basics, we've been talking more as though where we've been producing and providing awareness to people that have understanding of investment, that are already there with the funds, with the some knowledge of starting real estate investing or even buying a home. And that specific question brought um, it gave us a reflection that, you know what, there are more people like this lady that asked us that question about where do I even begin? Where do I even start? And so that brought us to tonight, where, like my sister said, going back to the basics. So this is going to be a four-part conversation over the next four chats with Momvestors. And we've really broken this topic down into different scenarios and different, um, I want to say, demographic of immigrants, for example. And this doesn't only apply to immigrants, it can be just anyone, either a new young adult or a new mom, a new parent, a newlywed, someone that is just started a family, any of that. So the four parts would be, where do I begin? One, as a young professional, as a young adult, as a single person. Where does such person begin their journey into investing or even buying a home eventually in their lifetime? Secondly, as a family person, either as a parents that have just moved to Canada or moved to a new city, or as a single mom or single dad, so a single parent, and then determining what fits best for your scenario, for your lifestyle. Learning, the third session will be learning about the credit system in Canada, because we realize this is actually something that a lot of people, not just immigrants, even young adults, because this is not taught at school. And we're not even talking about saving yet. It's more, how does the credit system even work? What are the benefit that lies behind the credit system in Canada? What are the process? And finally, the fourth part is, then where do you go from there? Where do you actually begin? What do you do? Knowing now what we know versus what we knew when we were just new immigrants ourselves years ago, what do we do differently? And we will be sharing um, those information with you guys. Again, we are not financial advisors. disclaimer, big disclaimer. We are not financial advisors. We are mainly sharing our personal experiences with all of this topics that I just briefly summarized.
Thank you, sis. I think you're going to be doing much of the talking tonight because I have a really cute background and background noise. I don't know if you can hear her. Can you
It
hear
is.
her?
I can hear her a little
Yeah.
bit, but she's good. She's good. Again, we
I,
are moms.
yeah, no,
But
I want our listener to make the most of this session so that there is no
mhm,
background noise. We will start with, like you say, I'm an individual. I come alone. Let's say I'm a single person. Where do I start? What
mm,
could we have done differently
mm,
now that we have this experience, right? Yeah.
mhm. Yeah. You know what? I think we're gonna start with my journey. So this is more personal so that you guys can actually relate. Moving to Canada, I moved here with my family, my siblings and my parents, and of course, we all had to navigate the whole Canadian system and all. And this was almost 14 years ago. However, the journey to home ownership and eventually investment ownership didn't start immediately. And also, it didn't happen all overnight, right? Um, so I went to school here in Canada. I went to the university here for my bachelor's and my master's degrees. Um, During this time, though, I had multiple jobs. Okay. And this is what I often tell young people as well, that you have the most control of your time as a single person, as a young adult.
And you were living with your parents sis, at that time?
Yes, I was.
So you were not paying rent at the time. Just to
I
give a,
was paying rent, actually. Even though I was living with my parents, I was still contributing to rent
yes, you were
versus,
contributing, but you were not
mhm,
taking care of the rent by yourself.
that's right.
Just to give a
That's
little
right.
bit of context of what you could do, the advantage that you have
Yeah.
because you can save thanks to those multiple
Yeah.
jobs.
And it's a benefit that even if you live with your parents, and I'm actually glad that I was able to contribute and support with the expenses as a new immigrant in a new country. Of course, we're all navigating the whole type of expenses and stuff. However, I'm glad that I was able to contribute as well as my siblings, because it gives also the realization that what if I was alone? It might not be as much of an expense, but I would have expenses too. So it's a privilege for any young adults that is even home with their parent, that they don't have to pay much bills, I should say. Um, so with that said, I had multiple jobs that I was doing. And the purpose of those multiple jobs, even though I didn't know that then, my intent then was just to make money and to save the money. I was not thinking about real estate. I didn't know much about real estate at the time. However, there's always been the goal of I'm also going to buy my own house when I get married.
As
Yeah.
any immigrant, when you come to any country, you go your first, you're a newcomer to a country, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Own your home or at least, have a safe place.
Yep.
And that's what it means. So you were
Yep.
making money because you had time.
Time. And I always say that to young adults and young professionals now too. When you don't have well, starting from a husband or a wife to having kids, you have full control of your time. Maximizing the potential that that time gives you is it's a benefit in its own. It's a privilege. You know, you can either Maximize those time by doing more jobs to save up as much money because you don't have those family responsibilities as such to keep you down or take away most of your time, right? However, the savings that I was doing at the time, they were all in GICs, guaranteed interest certificate. And in my mind, then, oh my God, I had the highest interest on
Sis,
my
where do you
savings.
find, where would you, how did you find the GIC?
RBC, my financial advisor at RBC says, oh, the money you're leaving in your checking account, you could actually put it in a savings. And then they present me the options of the different kinds of savings. There's the high interest savings account, which was like not even 1% interest. And then there's the guaranteed interest certificates, the GICs, which were like very high interest, 2.5% per year max, minus fees, whatever. But to me, as a new immigrant, working all these jobs, and when I say working jobs, like guys, I was a student. I was doing hair for those that know. I have a hair salon. I was doing hair. I even took a job at a car wash at some point because they give more tips because I was learning the Canadian tipping system at the time. And then eventually, as a master's student, I was a teaching assistant at Carleton University. Then I got a government job, a part-time government job. And at the same time, I was working at Old Navy because there was a 50% employee discount for Old Navy staff at that time. I don't know what it is now. So I got that job because of that. But I ended up spending more at Old Navy than I was making. So I had to quit. I had to quit that even though it was like once a week. Anyways, just to say, I was maximizing the time that I had and doing all this job and thankfully living with my family that I don't have a huge expense. And so saving up all those money, um, I had them put in GICs. And I was happy to see those GICs growing.
We're
What
happy with that 1, 2%. Was that a,
I was,
yeah.
because that was the highest. And eventually, somebody, I think maybe a colleague or another student at school where we were doing our grad studies together, had mentioned Tangerine Bank. And I'm like, which one is Tangerine again? But they had even higher interest rate. They would do promotional interest rate of 3%, 4%. So I opened an account, and because the GICs are locked in for certain times, right? The other savings that I had where I was putting those into my Tangerine account because that was even a much higher interest rate. So not to say that any of these were wrong, but knowing what I know now, those were good starts. I'm not even gonna cap. Those were great start because that was what I knew at the time. But now, for a young professional, either also in school, have these multiple jobs, juggling life and, part-time jobs and school, and to eventually be able to find a professional job in their career eventually, there are multiple vehicles now with way better returns on your I'm not going to call them savings. I'm going to say way better returns on your hard-earned money. And the way to have access to those better returns, you would have to do a lot of work on your side. And when I say work, I mean due diligence. You have to do some due diligence when people present an opportunity to you for a high return on your money.
If I may add, sis, when you say people, we also include bank people in that. It's not because, with all due respect, that someone works at the bank that what they are presenting to you is for your best interest. They will always present to you first about what they know, what they were trained at the bank to know, And also, their knowledge might be limited and they might not know about your full situation because maybe they don't have the full experience. So, even those people, make sure you do your due diligence on whatever they offer you as a product or a service.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So how do you even find these people that may be presenting some sort of higher return on your saving or your money? You'd have to attend series of webinars. In our case, because we're real estate investors first, a lot of the webinars that we attend are they're usually real estate events. They're usually real estate boot camps. And there are people in the real estate community that are always looking for private lenders, it's called, which are private investors that invest their cash for a return ranging from like 7, 8 to like 12, 15% per annum returns.
So, way higher than what was
Oh,
it,
I
sis?
wish I
One,
knew
two,
that.
5% at the GIC?
I wish I knew that. But again, we start with what we know, which is what we are doing as Momvestors with this chat is sharing the knowledge that we now know and bringing awareness to resources that we don't necessarily have available or readily out there for people to even approach. Because some people might even see, oh, looking for a private lender for, I don't know, 20,000, 30,000, $40,000 at a 10% interest rate. And some people will be like, oh, too good to be true. I don't want it. It is real, but you have to do your due diligence that whatever the person says they're actually using the money for in order to get the return is what they are using the money for. That would be the disclaimer here.
So, sis, I'm looking at the time. Just to pause
Mhm.
here. So far, what you have told us is that you were working multiple jobs as when you started as an
Yep.
individual with your family as an international student. And what you did before is you would put those savings into GIC one, two, let's say 5% to be generous. What you would have done differently now with the experience, the knowledge that you have as a real estate developers today
Hmm.
is you would have put those savings to work in a different way.
That's
Actually
right.
looking to even lend the money, those savings to yourself, to other people that are looking for example, private money for real estate deals so that you can get a higher return, like the
Hmm.
8, 10% that we see on the market. Is that
Yep.
what you're saying?
That's a good recap, sis. Yep. That is a good recap. And those opportunities are out there. It might not fit in everyone's scenario. For example, in our case, we don't have those opportunities of like invest 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. It doesn't apply with us. However, there are people out there, there are investors out there that do syndication, which means collection of, smaller amounts to do a project. Um,
Remind us if I'm a mere person, where do I start to find those people, sis?
Start with Facebook. Go on Eventbrite. Look for real estate events. If you are interested in real estate, of course. But there are other vehicles of investment that people do, So go on Facebook, look for all of these groups. Go on Eventbrite, look for real estate events or, I don't know, dentist events or investors events, whatever events, and attend a couple. I'm not recommending that the first event you go to, you jump at the first opportunity that is thrown at you. Probably not. Again, gain some knowledge of whatever it is that that person is looking to invest in, that they're looking for little funds for, and join them. There are interest rate out there, even up to like 15%. The higher the risk of the investment, so the higher the chances that you may lose your money, the higher the reward, the return that you might be getting in terms of interest. So even though there are risks that you may lose your funds, do your due diligence and see that it's a viable investment at least, because those people would not want to lose their own money either. So do your research, do your due diligence, and see that it's something that resonates with you. Try it with a little amount first, and then you build a relationship with people and you start growing your money and building your cash through that. And so, with that said, next week we're going to get into
In 2 weeks. In 2 weeks.
oh, in 2 weeks. Yes, in 2 weeks. Yeah. Next time on Chat with Momvestor, we're going to get into as a family person, as a parent, with kids, as a single parent, as a couple, a new immigrant, or someone new in a city that you're planning that goal of buying your home. Where do you begin? Where you don't have the time to work multiple jobs like I did as a younger person. Um, we're going to get into that next time in 2 weeks, a chat with Momvester. And then, yeah, I think that's it for this time. We're going to take questions, and my sister is going to stop recording for now if there are any
Absolutely.
questions.
Thank you, sis.